Hey everybody, it's Jimmy and Bill. Bill, today we got another good one.
All right.
So this is what we're talking about today. Let's say you live in a neighborhood, okay? Like everybody else. You live in a neighborhood. What are the signs that that neighborhood is going down the tubes and you better think about selling? So, like, I've seen so many neighborhoods that were like, you know, beautiful, and then a year later, 2 years later, I go into that neighborhood and it's falling apart. And like also on like Facebook, I've been watching these photos, and it's interesting. A lot of them from Detroit and some other places. They show this block with beautiful houses with plants and everything. Okay. And then say that was 10 years ago that photo was taken. Then somebody went back there 10 years later, took the same photo. Now the homes are boarded up or burnt out or, you know, like horrible.
Okay.
So I gave me an idea. I'm like, so you live in a neighborhood like, okay, this neighborhood over here. All right. What are the signs? What should I look for if like, okay, this neighborhood's going down the tubes? I better think about selling while the prices are up. That's what we're talking about today.
All right. Good subject.
Okay.
I like that. That's some good thought-inspiring conversation. Would be good.
Oh, absolutely. In the meantime, we're working on a podcast, and don't miss it. So do me a favor, consider subscribing. It really motivates us, and it really helps out the channel. All right, Bill, the first thing, I took some notes, okay?
Oh, we actually don't have to come up with them on our own?
No.
Oh, I thought we were just talking about it, because I'm like, I've got ideas.
Oh, you have ideas?
Yeah,
you can do them. No, I had to do some research of science.
Okay. I thought this was one of those that you would just surprise me with the topic and go, okay.
No,
okay,
I actually some of those things I was doing research for, they say before and after. They're showing before and after photos of how neighborhoods change.
Okay.
One of the big signs is vacant properties. So if your neighborhood starts having a lot of vacant properties.
Yeah. So there's a couple things with that, and that was kind of where my some of my original thoughts were going. Vacant properties, and not necessarily vacant properties that people are maintaining. You know, because there's a lot of seasonal people here, and they're only going to be down here in Florida for a few months. But in general, if you start to see a lot of vacant properties, are those rental properties now? You know, not that rentals are bad, but are they rentals that are sitting vacant, not having it? And then something that would even be more of a red flag for me would be vacant properties that are not maintained. So like you start seeing
grass, all that stuff.
Yeah, the grass is coming up, so then you're getting code enforcement coming out and putting the stickers on the wall constantly, things like that. That would be an important one for me.
All right, now would this be a red flag? Like, okay, I'm going to throw it out there. Hudson, when I go to my property, when I took that, I take a left-hand turn, the first 5-6 houses are for sale. For sale. So I have 5 houses for sale in a row. I know it was the hurricane. I know they got flooded.
Right.
So, but say somebody in their neighborhood, you know, they're driving down their block and now they're noticing a for sale sign on every other house.
Yeah, so twofold on this one.
Okay.
I think Hudson is probably a bad example just because it was a hurricane. So it's kind of like an anomaly. But let's just take any neighborhood and talk about that. If I came into a neighborhood, even if I was a buyer in a neighborhood, and I saw that there was 400 homes, you know, that are in the neighborhood, and there's maybe a 10 or 20% turnover rate of those homes in a 12 to 24 month period, I'd kind of have to weigh that out. It might give me some pause. Why are there so many homes for sale? I'd want to look into seeing why there's so many homes for sale. It just doesn't mean that.
But how would you go about that?
Well, it just depends on the scenario. First things is it an HOA, number one?
Okay.
So that means that maybe their dues are getting raised up crazy amounts. Number two, did they announce some sort of a project that's coming on, you know, in the general area that's going to affect that neighborhood?
So, okay, I just read an article about a condo building that used to have 3% for sales, vacancy 4%, and now 28% within a couple of months because they got their special assessments for sale, you know, because people just can't afford it. So that's a big sign, you know. So there's a lot of vacancies right now because of the condos. So they went up for sale, and a lot of people are like, oh no, we can't afford this. So you're talking about that, if the HOAs raise their prices.
Yeah, because you've got HOAs and CDDs. So if you've got a large assessment coming for, like in a neighborhood that I lived in, we had to do a major sewer clean out, And that was, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that was a special assessment through the CDD. And this is a long time ago. But the condos, since you brought that up, that's where you would probably see this more prevalently. And I see, because I look at that when I'm showing condos, that it's like, okay, there's not a lot of comparables, so it's hard to price the home, but it's also a good sign that people are happy there.
Sure, that's a really good point. So there's not a lot for sale. It's actually a good building.
It's a good building. Yeah.
All right. Say you're in your neighborhood, and all of a sudden, people's poorly maintained properties, overgrown lawns, peeling paint, broken windows, neglect. Now you're noticing that more and more and more. That's a sign that, hey, maybe this neighborhood's going down the tubes.
Yeah, it could be. You got to look at the economic times too, I think, is an important one to take, kind of as a whole. But if you're not in an HOA, or even if you are in an HOA, really, and there's constant violations because people just can't keep up with maintaining their properties, there could be a sign. But on that flip side, that could be, you could roll the dice, and that might be an opportunity to get in when the prices are a little bit lower on a community that may turn around in a few years.
That's a good idea.
So you kind of have to take that.
Like, not for nothing, when I bought this house in 2011, every house was for sale on this block.
Right. So that was we were coming out of that, economic crisis and the housing crisis back then. And this is kind of where I was going with it. So those are opportunities. The neighborhood might not be the greatest right now, but that neighborhood has potential.
I didn't even need a house, but
it's just a good investment.
It was a good investment, and it really paid off.
So this is a good point to drive home to people who are listening too. Everybody says, well, when's a good time to buy a house? Well, the good time to buy a house is based on your situation. You didn't need a house, but you saw an opportunity for an investment. So it was an economic downturn, which would traditionally signal probably not the best time to buy a house. But the home values went down, and you had enough capital and security to where you could purchase a home. That's why it's very specific to the person.
Oh, absolutely. Like, when I was buying in this neighborhood, and this was 2011, so it wasn't that long ago,
right.
People were telling me, are you stupid? Are you crazy? Mm-hmm. Everything's for sale, there's grass, because some people they weren't taking care of their lawns and stuff.
This is when the banks really started hiring these third-party companies. Mm-hmm. They started sprouting up everywhere. They've always had them, but they became super prevalent, where they would go out and do these the field inspections, and they would just hire people to come out, not inspectors, but they would just take photos. Is the house abandoned? Are the windows broken? Are they intact? And then they would have people come in and mow the lawn, the bank, and secure the building, things like that. It was crazy back then.
This next one is one of the reasons I would consider selling. If I notice a uptick in crime, and like in an uptick in not just in my neighborhood, but in the area per se, like not a crime spike, but a continuous climb of crime. That's something that would worry me because of the safety of my family. What do you think of that one?
Yeah, and I think let's dive a little bit deeper on that. So there's certain areas, even around here, not necessarily in Trinity where we're at right now, but there are other areas that are a little bit more of a city environment. And you can go 1 or 2 blocks and it's a different neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree 100%.
So when you see crime that's around you per se, so like you wouldn't expect to see that out here in Trinity. It's too new of a the community as a whole is relatively new.
Every other person on this block is a cop.
Well, yeah, but I mean, not necessarily just Trinity. You're in one little neighborhood, but the 30 some odd miles that makes up Trinity, you've got this is a newer developed area that wasn't around in the 60s and 70s. This was farms. So what I mean is I would look at other things as well, and then how responsive, not meaning how fast do they get there, but is the law enforcement presence there? Do you go and you talk to the sheriff, just because we have a sheriff in this area, and are they helping? What are they doing to help prevent that crime or deter the crime in the area?
Yeah, I mean that's one of them. Here's one, and this is an interesting one. And it would concern me too, even though I don't have kids anymore in school, declining schools, say the schools were A-rated and now they're some of the worst schools. Over here it's really good schools. But that will affect values, because some people with kids don't want to move into, I might be wrong, but they don't want to move into a neighborhood that has really declining schools. What do you think of that? Does the rating of the school affect the desirability and the value of a house?
I would say that the school district, because like from what I understand, you could have a school across the street and then technically that's not your school.
Right.
So that I don't know how much that would really affect the neighborhood. It would be where that neighborhood school is actually going to be.
Okay, but if it went down the tubes, the school, would that be
the school for that specific neighborhood?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
but some people, they go and they do private school. We have a ton of private schools around here. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I would imagine to an extent that would probably affect values somewhat, a little bit.
All right, what about this one? Closing businesses. What if a lot of the businesses are just going out of business around the neighborhood? Is that a sign that the neighborhood might be going down the tubes?
I would first investigate what's coming to the area, meaning are the businesses closing because they're getting bought out and it's just maybe it's an old plaza, so like when they renovated Clearwater Mall and Largo Mall as an example, two big malls in our area here, all the businesses started going under because they were struggling to begin with, but they had done a major renovation on the main highway, which kind of messed up the flow. So it hurt the businesses, and this is 20 some odd years ago. But after all of that kind of chaos, we actually have a much better thriving area, and the neighborhoods around it are better off for it.
Okay, so
it just kind of depends on the situation. I would have to investigate that one a little bit more.
All right, so since you're talking about that one, let's talk about this one. Public infrastructure decay, broken streetlights, potholes, trash-filled streets suggest neglect by the government. So if your neighborhood, they used to take care of the streets and now they don't because they had to do cutbacks or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now is that a reason to say, okay, you know what, I'm out of here?
It depends if it's just specific to that area or is it widespread throughout the entire community, not just your neighborhood, your little tiny micro community. Is it just that's just the way it is everywhere in your town, city, or county?
All right. Okay. Reduce public services. Maybe, buses. You're used to getting bus rides. You're taking the bus, public transportation. Maybe if that goes away, maybe the neighborhood, would you leave a neighborhood because of that? Depends, right?
Yeah, it depends. Trash pickups getting reduced, things like that from the municipality. I wouldn't just go, oh, I'm leaving.
Here's one, and this is one that's in heavy discussion here in Trinity right now. Noise complaints, frequent noise. Basically behind me, I pretty much have farmland or cattle, and, there was some talk about it being developed into a sports complex back there. After I did my research, it's not happening. But say it was happening. All right. Eventually, they will develop this. Down the road, they will develop.
It's going to get that. That's coming.
Yeah, but
it's coming. It just may not be like right here.
Yeah.
I was surprised when they announced it here.
No, actually, behind me.
I just didn't see that.
Yeah, I found out who owns the property, and it's Tanya's boss owns the property.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I was just surprised. Yeah, I would never say never, but I was just surprised when it was announced right here because there's a couple other spots that I would have thought for that specific section of it would have been a little bit different.
So let's talk about this. But what if they were building here? Now, okay, say they did, hypothetically, build a sports complex right back here. I would have a lot of noise.
Right.
And I wouldn't be happy. I like seeing the cattle. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if they did that big development with all these different sports, food, this and that, would it increase the value of the property too?
Most likely.
So you got to take that into consideration.
Right. All those things go into those planning studies when they apply for these, when they do these studies with the county. How is it going to affect the values of the neighborhoods around you? The noise, because noise actually is a deterrent. And the banks do, when they do an appraisal, that's part of it, is all the external factors.
All right. What if, okay, what if in your neighborhood, all of a sudden you're noticing graffiti and vandalism? Is that like, okay, is that a sign? Or
It might be a sign. No pun intended, because it's graffiti.
What about this one? If you notice a lot of transient population going in and out of, like transients, like people don't stay in the houses very long.
Oh, like when you said transients.
Yeah, like transient.
Not homeless.
Yeah,
you mean,
yeah.
okay. So, not homeless people. You're saying just turnover in general. So,
yeah.
In other words, perhaps that neighborhood has a high number of rental units in that community. So it's because there's rules. So there's certain neighborhoods will put into, they can't, it's hard to restrict allowing you to rent your property, but what the HOAs can do a lot of times is allow the number of homes or the percentage of homes to be rented at one specific time. So that you don't have that, because people don't, and then same thing, that's where like Airbnb and these 30-day and less, you don't want that, like, because that just lends itself to more of a party atmosphere, a hotel atmosphere, and those are the kind of things that could potentially hurt the value of the neighborhood if it's prevalent.
All right, you know what? You said something about homeless. Let's talk about it. What if in your neighborhood there was a homeless encampment? Would that be something that, like, okay, but it happens.
I guess
it happened. It happened to a neighborhood, in Hudson. Just a homeless encampment set up in the woods over there, and everybody goes up in arms.
Yeah.
Because nobody was doing anything about it.
Well, that's where I say you've got to get with the sheriff. I just say sheriff, whatever your law enforcement is, and you've got to talk to him and say, listen, what are we doing? There are certain jurisdictions here that are very like, you're not here in this city, get out, and they're very strict on it.
All right, what if, would you sell neighborhoods going down if traffic patterns change? Like, say, like this neighborhood, 3 years ago, it was so easy to get out of here. I could make a left-hand turn at the end of the road and go that way, or a right-hand turn. Now, if you make a left-hand turn and try to cross the main road over here, you're kind of taking your life in your hands.
Oh, yeah, on the other side of the neighborhood coming out, yeah.
So now, I got to take a right. But this place is growing, so what if that one, making a right, becomes crazy too, and they don't put in lights and everything? Me and you were doing an inspection just the other day, and I called you. You were in the truck in front of me, and I said, listen, we had to cross 3 lanes. Yeah. 3 lanes to get to a left lane, and it's a development area. You said eventually they're going to put a light there.
You can look just to the right when we came out of there.
Yeah.
There's an actual setup. They've kind of built the area. There's a traffic light that's going to go in there. It's just that the neighborhood's getting built, so they haven't there's just not enough volume of traffic at that point to do it. But it's a 6-lane road.
Yeah, I mean,
you got 3 plus a turn lane.
What if it's raining, or where you guys are, it's snowing?
Oh no, it sucks going out of there.
Yeah.
I hate going out of that place. But it will have a traffic light. But to answer your question on the traffic patterns and stuff, usually when you get a traffic pattern like that, in a significant change in traffic, because even here in Trinity, because I've lived here a really long time too, and there used to be nothing here, but there was nothing here, right? So the homes were less expensive, and now because it's a catch-22, you get more traffic because you have more things. You have, we got movie theaters, plazas, shopping, malls, all kinds of different hospitals. So these things start to increase. This is infrastructure that we've talked about in previous videos.
Yeah, so that's what I'm just saying is these are all signs a neighborhood might be going down.
I doubt that the traffic pattern would make the neighborhood go down, because it usually increases the values typically.
Yeah, but if it's difficult to get out of there,
people don't care.
Okay.
People don't care that much. It's like you going in and out of my neighborhood. You would rather drive 2.4 miles on the main road versus 2.4 miles in the neighborhood. It's the same distance on Bruce B. Downs, and you know what I mean? It's just different. It's just different for you. And I understand that. But you can also do 55 on Bruce B. Downs and only 30 in the neighborhood.
I hate speed bumps. But anyways, that's today's video. Got any other reasons?
That's it.
Okay. So watch this video right here. I just picked it out for you guys. Okay, this is a really good video. Don't miss it. And remember, subscribe so you don't miss the podcast and everything. And we'll talk to you next one. Thank you and have a great day.
See you on the next video. Thanks for watching.
Bye.